Skol Nation, stop right now. U.S. Bank Stadium just erupted with breaking news, and one fact is already on the table. 6 starts, 10 interceptions, and a passer rating sitting nearly 20 points below the next worst quarterback in the NFL. A Hall of Famer just dropped a bomb about Kevin O'Connell's fear. Sam Darnold is bringing star power back to Minnesota, but wearing the wrong colors. And a roster move just exposed how desperate this team is getting. Insiders warned us this morning, and here's the first payoff. That fear? It's not about losing games. It's about losing the locker room's trust in the franchise QB decision. If you Skol louder than you breathe and hate the Packers more than bad coffee, hit like and subscribe right now. We start with the crisis that has Kevin O'Connell scared. Stay locked. There's a double cliffhanger at the end that involves Sam Darnold and a decision coming in the next 48 hours. Closed door, silent film room, one head coach staring at tape that won't lie. The fear is real, and it's not coming from the fans or the media. It's coming from inside the building. Vikings legend and Hall of Famer Cris Carter just said out loud what everyone in Minnesota has been whispering for weeks. Kevin O'Connell is scared to death. The player causing that fear? J.J. McCarthy. And here's why this is a 5-alarm crisis. McCarthy just entered concussion protocol after the Week 12 loss to Green Bay, a 23-6 beatdown that felt worse than the score. He never left the game with an injury, which raises eyebrows after his previous ankle sprain that many believed was just cover from O'Connell to protect his guy. At some point, protection turns into enabling, and the Vikings are dancing on that line right now. Let's talk numbers, because the tape doesn't lie and neither do statistics. Among qualified quarterbacks this season with 150-plus attempts, McCarthy is last in completions with 86, last in completion percentage at 54.1, second last in yards with 929, second last in touchdowns with 6, and his passer rating of 57.9 sits nearly 20 points below the next worst number in the league. He's also thrown 10 interceptions, 4th most in football, and has the highest interception rate at 6.3%. These aren't just bad numbers. These are Christian Ponder numbers, and Ponder made Vikings fans want to burn their jerseys. Carter said it best on his podcast, Fully Loaded. McCarthy doesn't look like the guys drafted in his class. Caleb Williams has 20 more starts than him, and it shows. The variable that every quarterback has to remove when they enter the league, can they play at this level? McCarthy hasn't removed that variable yet, and 6 starts isn't enough to know for sure. But Carter also warned that McCarthy is holding up what is otherwise a strong and talented team. The defense is top 10, the offensive weapons are elite, and the coaching staff knows how to win. The only question mark is the guy under center. Do you think J.J. McCarthy is still the answer for Minnesota? Drop your honest take below. And if you believe Kevin O'Connell is right to be scared, smash that like button and let Packers fans know who's really struggling in the NFC North. But as massive as that quarterback crisis is, the next story cuts even deeper. Because while Minnesota tries to figure out if McCarthy is the guy, a former Vikings hero is about to walk back into U.S. Bank Stadium wearing enemy colors, and the defensive coordinator just sent him a message. 14 wins, 1 playoff run, 1 season that made Vikings fans believe again. The quarterback who delivered all of that, he's not wearing purple anymore. Sam Darnold became Minnesota's hero in 2024 after J.J. McCarthy went down with injury, and he led the Vikings to 14 wins and a playoff spot that felt earned. Now, Week 13 rolls around, and Darnold walks back into the building as the enemy. He's the Seattle Seahawks starting quarterback, and the Vikings have to face the man who saved their season just 1 year ago. This is personal. Minnesota's defensive coordinator Brian Flores made that clear on Tuesday when he spoke to reporters. Flores said they had a great rapport, a real friendship, and he's happy for Darnold. But then came the hammer. We will blitz him this week. That's not trash talk, that's a promise. Flores runs one of the most creative and aggressive defenses in football, and he's about to unleash hell on his former teammate. But here's the twist that makes this story even more painful for Vikings fans. Darnold didn't just leave Minnesota and fall off. He brought his star power to Seattle, and the Seahawks are 8-3, holding their own in a stacked NFC West against the Rams and 49ers. Meanwhile, the Vikings sit at 4-7, dead last in the NFC North, watching their season slip away while the guy they let walk is thriving in the Pacific Northwest. The contrast is brutal. Darnold proved he could win with Minnesota's weapons and coaching, and now McCarthy can't even complete 60% of his passes with the same system. It's the kind of what-if that keeps front offices up at night. And to make matters worse, if McCarthy can't clear concussion protocol in time for Sunday, the Vikings will start undrafted rookie Max Brosmer, a kid out of Minnesota who's a complete unknown. No disrespect to Brosmer, but throwing a rookie into his first NFL start against a red-hot Seahawks team led by the guy who knows your entire playbook? That's not a recipe for success. That's a recipe for disaster. Do you think the Vikings made a mistake letting Sam Darnold walk? Drop your take below. And if you believe Darnold is going to torch Minnesota on Sunday, hit that like button and let the front office know they messed up. But while the quarterback drama is front and center, there's a quieter move happening on the roster that shows just how desperate this team is getting. A cornerback just got released from the practice squad, and the timing reveals more than the Vikings want to admit. Small move, big message. The Minnesota Vikings just announced they released cornerback Shemar Bartholomew from the practice squad. On the surface, it's a nothing move, the kind of roster shuffling that happens every week in the NFL. But when you look at the timing and the context, it's a signal. This team is in scramble mode. Bartholomew is 25 years old, an undrafted free agent out of Georgia Southern who signed with the Jets following the 2024 draft. He bounced around, got claimed by the Panthers, appeared in 5 games last season, and recorded 3 total tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and 2 passes defended. Not world-breaking numbers, but he was a body, a guy who could step in if the injury bug hit. The Vikings signed him to the practice squad in early November, just a few weeks ago. Now he's gone. Why does this matter? Because Minnesota is 4-7. Their starting quarterback is in concussion protocol. Their backup, Carson Wentz, is out for the year after undergoing season-ending shoulder surgery, and they're about to face a Seahawks team that's rolling. Releasing a practice squad cornerback in the middle of a lost season tells you one thing. The front office is already making moves with an eye on next year. They're not worried about depth for a playoff push. They're worried about evaluating talent for a rebuild. That's the quiet part nobody wants to say out loud, but the roster moves are screaming it. And here's the brutal truth. If you're a Vikings player right now, you're watching the front office release guys from the practice squad while the starting quarterback struggles and the season falls apart, and you're wondering, are they giving up on this year already? That's the kind of doubt that fractures a locker room. Kevin O'Connell is trying to hold the team together, but every roster move sends a message, and this one says we're not all in on this season anymore. Do you think the Vikings have given up on 2025? Drop your take below, and if you believe this team is already thinking about next year instead of fighting for this year, smash that like button and let the front office know what Vikings fans really think. But the Shemar Bartholomew release isn't just about one cornerback, it's about a franchise at a crossroads. And that crossroads leads us to a conclusion that every Vikings fan needs to hear, because the next 48 hours could define the next 5 years of this team. 3 stories, 1 storm. The quarterback crisis exposes a head coach's fear. The return of Sam Darnold reveals a what-if that haunts the franchise, and a quiet roster move signals a team already looking toward next season. Minnesota isn't just losing games, they're losing direction. If Kevin O'Connell sticks with J.J. McCarthy, he's betting his entire coaching reputation on a kid who hasn't proven he can play at this level yet. Meanwhile, Sam Darnold is thriving with the Seahawks, and Vikings fans are watching the guy who saved their season torch other defenses. Here's what I need from Skol Nation. 1. Smash that like if you believe J.J. McCarthy is not the answer. 2. Drop a comment with your boldest prediction. Does Kevin O'Connell survive this season? And 3. Subscribe because every single subscriber makes Packers fans furious. But listen closely. Here's the edge of the cliff. Max Brosmer could start on Sunday, and if he somehow wins against Darnold, it changes everything. Plus, there's a rumor the Vikings are already making calls about veteran quarterbacks for 2026. That decision could leak in the next 48 hours. Escol Nation, the storm is here. See you in the next war.